Wingman Joker, thank you for listening to this channel and please support the channel. Please subscribe. Chapter 131, An Upgrade. Victor sighed in relief. The pain in his head had subsided at last after that soul was fully digested. Looking at his system, he noticed a few notifications waiting for him. A system update had been spotted. Applying update. Error. Not sufficient authority. System notification. A system update is pending. Do you want to update? Yes, no. Dash. An update. Ah, this must be the effect of him being exposed to that awakening talisman which was disguised as a painting. He knew perfectly well what this was about. The system that the orb gave the players was severely outdated. As the orb was created thousands of years ago, it was basically like an installation disk that installed an operating system for the players after testing their compatibility. Its OS was too old and only supported basic system functions. The painting was very recent and continued the modern version of the system, with all the new shiny features. It was used by those invaders to hide their souls and then let them enter a target body undetected. Like a pirated operating system containing a virus. After the reckoning, all players, old and new, would get the new system. While he was tempted to refuse the update as the old version may have some unexplored bugs that he may be able to exploit, the temptation of the new version was huge. He had already got enough benefits anyway. He pressed yes after some hesitation. Player ID, B4,898,484,848,231 FF54898911548984128 312 319 sextillion 576 quintillion 874 quadrillion 836 trillion 115 billion 648,984,844 DOOO. Name: Victor von Weiss. The system has been updated. Reassessing data. Skills have been reconfigured. Error found. Illegal data. Fixing initiated. Fixing failed. Retrying. Fixing failed. Retrying. Fixing failed. Retrying. Timed out. Warning. 401 unauthorized access was encountered. Data error correction failed. System command. Deleting user. Failed. Reverting to older version. Failed. Error. Fixing routine timed out. Restarting interface. Welcome player. A new title was acquired. 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 Killed one demon. A new title was acquired. Calculating express. UNGRANTED express found. Level up. Level up. Dot. 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 Level up. Skills upgraded. Admin appraisal +3 greater than appraise lies. Master seal +4 greater than added 1 slot. Can activate skills through the blood slave cost relative to distance. Unlimited disguise +3 greater than can disguise aura. Dagger throw C greater than B. Class upgraded. Fate upgraded to C++. Eyes of Destiny +2 greater than automatic alert on S-ranked fates. Destiny shield, SSS +1 greater than reduce cooldown to 15 days. Fate tracker, X +1 greater than 2 threads can be tracked. Fate instinct, X +1 greater than increased trigger chance. Name: Victor von Weiss. Level: 119. Titles: Greater than Dungeon Explorer discovered a dungeon. Dungeon static maps would be revealed automatically. Greater than Dungeon Conqueror X2 triggered a dungeon clear event. Damage to dungeon monsters +1% X2. Greater than Savior saved a human from an unavoidable death flag. Health +10%. Greater than Avenger killed an Stigma title holder. Gains the ability to trigger Stigma curses 1 time per day. Greater than Master Demon Slayer killed a demon 100 times stronger than you. All attacks against demons are critical. Demonic skills are 90% ineffective against you. Status: Authority, Infinity. Health 4644 4644. Stamina 3470 3470. Mana 3912 3912. Strength 331. Agility 297. Intelligence 370. Luck 46. Charm 55. Order points 121+. For every monster killed. Class: Fate Weaver. Subclass: None. Class skills: Eyes of Destiny, X +2. Destiny Shield, SSS +1. Fate Tracker, X +1. Fate Instinct, X +1. Recognized skills: Womanizer, A. Face. Slapping, C. Butt slapping, E. Silky tongue, E. Gourmet, E. Acting, F. Sleeping, F. Lying, F. System skills. Admin appraisal, SSS +3. Admin merchant, SSS +2. Master seal, SS +3, 4/5. Contractor of doom, S. Unlimited disguise, SS +3. Eidetic memory, A. Dagger throw, B. Magic affinity, none. Bloodline, Elder dragon, AAA. Equipment, none. At long last, he was able to get rid of that old useless system. With that, he began to inspect his new system with interest. With this, he could get titles more frequently, and he no longer needed to wait for a dungeon to clear to get his reward and express points for missions and accomplishments. It meant he could level up anywhere. In addition to that, now, he could learn skills instantly. Looking at it, Victor smiled. His attributes were really good. Especially after killing that demon. He got a ton of express and a crazy title. He could now rival those elders in his family. But he must not get cocky, he reminded himself, as he still had too many weaknesses. He still remembers clearly how the ones who ruled this world after the reckoning were not the strongest forces, but the ones who bode their time and survived until all the others were exhausted. He must stay hidden and bide his time. The 3 new bars, which were newly added, were health, stamina, and mana. Health is dependent on many factors like his strength and bloodline among others. It represents how much damage he would absorb while keeping his body intact. And when it reaches 0, the system would delete his account, and he would die. Stamina and mana represent his energy to perform skills. Even if they were depleted, he would feel nothing, as it was not connected to his human body. But a system-infused energy. All of those would regenerate depending on his attributes. The recognized skills are the ones that the world recognizes him as having. He would be able to spend mana or stamina to perform them in the future, to perform them effortlessly, and so that he would not get tired. For example, if he played the piano for some time, the world would add piano skill to the list. As for the rank, it would depend on the system's evaluation. And the next time he plays using the system stamina points, he will not make any mistakes, and the play will go flawlessly. It was a kind of system assistance. For now, the list only contained useless stuff that the system watched him perform. So he would have to show the world what he can do to fill it. But he wondered whether the face-slapping skill was literally or figuratively. No matter what, using it without expending much energy would be cool. System skills are different. Those are the ones granted by the skill books and mission rewards. And most of them are supernatural. Magic affinity is required to use certain skills, which required elemental affinity. Like how Sebastian had a fireball skill. He must have had fire affinity. Or as a scion, he probably had the very rare 5 or 7 elements affinity. Victor didn't care, because after awakening his bloodline, he would get some magic affinity as a dragon bloodline holder. In addition to that, he could learn and use magic skills anyway due to his authority. But they would cost him a lot of mana to activate. Order points can now be harvested by killing monsters, like after the reckoning. He was very desperate about them getting depleted. And now he could use his fate skills and that information book more liberally. Wait, why was the equipment set to none? Wasn't he wearing his storage ring, a defensive talisman, and a levitating necklace? Opening his eyes, Victor found himself in his room. Laying on his bed, he was naked, and a pretty girl with swollen eyes was laying on his side. Chapter 132. Punishment. Opening his eyes, Victor looked at Lily, who was looking back at him with her haggard eyes. It took her a moment to realize the fact that her young master was awake. Young master. Wah, she said as she hugged him hard and began to sob on his chest. He smiled as he hugged her back and kissed her head. He could tell how much she cared about him. After a while, seeing that she calmed down, Victor cleared his throat. Why? He asked while raising one eyebrow. Young master, you were in a coma. Wah, she cried more. The last 2 weeks were very hard on her. I know about that. I am asking you why I am naked. He asked, making her freeze. She just realized that she was burying her face in his muscular naked chest. He smelled good. She slowly backed away with a blushing face. Did you want to take advantage of this young master while he was asleep? He asked while looking at Lily with a smirk. It was Margaret's idea. She said that you might get better if we removed your clothes, as you may wake up if you felt cold down there, she stated, embarrassingly lowering her head. And you agreed, didn't you? Who agreed to this brilliant plan too? He asked. Everyone did, she said after some hesitation. If she was going down, they had to go down too. Including Alex? He asked. Margaret made him take off your underwear by himself, as we were too embarrassed to do it, Lily answered in a mosquito voice as she kept her blushing face down. Oh, I didn't know that I was raising a pack of dirty girls, he exclaimed. I will punish you later. How long have I been unconscious for? He asked. 2 weeks, she answered while wondering whether she should be happy or afraid about her young master's punishment. That long? What time is it now? He asked with a frown. Many things must have happened. It is 7:15 p.m., she answered. Good, I will go take a shower. And after that, you will report what happened to me, he said as he pulled out the medical tubes and needles connected to his arm and then stood up while using the bedsheet to cover his body below the waist. At this moment, the door was opened by Mana, who was carrying a food tray. Probably, Lily's dinner. Miss Lily, this is. Ah, young master, you are awake, she said as she threw the tray onto a side table and ran to hug Victor. What's wrong with you girls, haven't you seen a handsome young master naked before? He said smugly as he patted Mana's head, which was stuck to his chest too. Ah, Mana quickly backed off embarrassingly, then looked at Victor. Did he get more handsome? I will go get a shower. Prepare my clothes and tell the others to meet me in the dining room. Ah, and prepare some dinner for me too. This young master is starving, he said as he entered the bathroom. Ellipsis. After getting dressed, he went downstairs, where all the girls except Margaret and Arya were waiting. They hugged him one by one. Especially Theta, who cried a lot as she clung to him, making Alpha frown a little. Alex, who was still in a maid dress, didn't want the hug, and neither did Alpha but was forced by Victor, who opened his arms wide for them. Sitting down, Alpha was the first one to ask. Young master, what happened that day? She asked. Nothing, I was just stunned by Theta's beauty. Now tell me what happened while I was in a coma, he said, making Theta blush, and Lily realized that he didn't want to talk about it, so she didn't ask any further. It's not that Victor didn't want to tell them, but the girls, including Lily, were not ready to hear what he knew. They would not be able to return to their daily lives if they knew that their world was on the verge of being invaded. He would tell them eventually, but they must be stronger. First, seeing her young master's worried eyes, Lily frowned a little and then began to speak. Well, after we found the young master collapsed. Lily first told him what they did after he lost consciousness, which made him frown. He wanted to scold them for being too careless but decided not to because the girls were still amateurs and it was his fault for not leaving an emergency protocol for them. Kai was right, and you must have kept my coma a secret, he said, making the girls lower their heads. I am not scolding you, so don't worry. Where is Margaret? He asked. She went to a school friends gathering, Mina answered, hesitantly. She was afraid that the young master would scold Margaret for being inconsiderate. And why aren't you there? Weren't you attending the same school? He asked, surprising the twins. We thought it was inappropriate to go to a party while the young master was in a coma, Mana answered as she placed a dish in front of her young master. Well, you were mistaken. Margaret did the right thing. You should go and act normally, as you must never let the people watching this place discover any abnormalities. Victor said, making the girls nod while lowering their heads. They should learn how to act better after this. And where is Arya? He asked after taking a few bites from his dish. She is at the company, Lily said, making Victor nod. That girl was a workaholic. I see, did you investigate the painting? He asked Lily. Yes, I sent Alex with Theta to that annoying merchant shop. They were told that the last painting was sent to be auctioned by him. So we decided to go buy it. She said, we also managed to get the footage of the security cameras from the surrounding warehouses and were able to identify the unknown artist and the buyer of the first painting, thanks to Camellia recognizing them. She answered. Do you know who they were? He asked again while stuffing his mouth. He was really hungry. Yes, I met the girl in the mall before, she is the daughter of an influential politician. We didn't approach her yet as she was on a vacation out of town. She said, the artist took some work to find, but we managed to locate him after 2 days. Unfortunately, he was dead in his rented flat. He seemed to have suffered from a heart attack. But we managed to retrieve 2 paintings from his shop. They are now locked in the basement with everything we found with him. She explained. Did you investigate the artist's background? He asked. Yes, he was an unaffiliated semi-player who awakened in a dungeon 3 years ago. We couldn't find anything else suspicious. He used to be a normal high school teacher, but quit after becoming awakened. She said. Oh, anything else? Victor asked as he signaled Mana to fill his dish again. After that Margaret went with Arya to the auction. It was the same one the young master was invited to. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it as it was not put for sale, and after asking around we discovered that the auction warehouse was raided the night prior. So we have no idea about the location of the last painting. That's all concerning the paintings, Lily explained. I understand. We will talk about it later, Victor said, after noticing Theta wanting to ask him something. Probably about the status screen. Young master, the family seemed to have encountered some problem, as there was a lot of activity recently. You were summoned to the island a few times, but thanks to George, we were able to delay it, Lily said, making Victor remember about the orb that was probably destroyed. He could bet also, that all hell had broken loose in his family. This might be a good thing for them anyway, as a lot of spies would be discovered when the family launches a thorough investigation to attempt to pinpoint who broke the orb. But he had no other choice, as he figured that that invading soul would resort to some desperate measures when it knew that it was not the hunter but the prey. So Victor had to use the only other ID he knew as a substitute, the Awakening Orb's system ID. He used it just in case something wrong happened. He wouldn't be able to control the system while fighting that soul, as it would also be able to access it. Something bad really did happen after all. That demoness was smarter than he expected. She revealed herself to the world, triggering a delete action. Well, it seems like he would need to get the family a new awakening artifact. He had already set his eyes on one but didn't expect that he would need to get it this fast. Your esteemed father had requested that you must go see him as soon as you wake up, Lily added. Oh, call him and inform him that I had woken up, then ask where we should meet. Is there a car ready in the garage? He asked. Yes, young master. Margaret took Arya shopping last week and they bought some cars, as they needed one to go to the auction. And Margaret might have gone a little crazy shopping, Lily answered as she took out her phone to text George. It's okay. You did the same before, so don't criticize others, Victor said while standing up, making Lily feel a little embarrassed. Fine then, I will go visit father after a light discussion with Alpha, he said as he gestured to Alpha to follow him as he headed to the study. Can I come too, young master? Lily, who was feeling a little jealous, and a little curious, asked. No, you are punished. Go do the dishes with Alex then prepare yourself. You will be heading out with me, as I am too sleepy to drive, he said, making both Lily and Alex show aggravated faces. Why am I being punished too? Alex asked herself absent-mindedly. Oh, and Theta, go get me the paintings Lily retrieved from the artist's shop. Make sure that no one but you touches them, Victor said as he left the room, totally ignoring Alex's protests. Chapter 133, The Paintings. Entering the lavish study, Victor sat at his chair and gestured to Alpha who followed him in to sit down on the opposing couch. What was that painting? Alpha asked as soon as she sat down. We should wait for Theta for that. How was your work? He asked. I got the girls from the brothel into an old base that belonged to my family. I plan to establish a spy network using them and some of the properties that my family left for me. She answered. But I want some resources. Some money, she added. Didn't you take the money I left in the storage? He asked. He got a lot of money from Nick back then. Yeah, but I would need more. She said. Give me a kiss, and I will give you more money. He said. Is this an order? She asked. As his blood slave, she can't refuse his orders. No, it's a trade, he said with a smirk. Then forget it, she answered looking to the side, with some embarrassment. When did Victor get this handsome? She asked herself. I don't want your finances to have anything to do with the family. So you would have to search for some other way, he said, seeing that she was not planning to kiss him. This girl needed some extra work to make her fall for him. Fine, do you know Lily's origin? She asked, changing the subject. Yes, the woman in your memories should be her grandmother, Victor explained. That's why you make her wear a veil? She asked. Yes, don't speak about this to anyone, he answered. Alpha wanted to know more, but at that moment, Theta entered the room with 3 rolled paintings. So she decided to say nothing and just watched as Victor took the paintings and gestured to Theta to sit down. Did you try to investigate those? He asked Alpha. Lily was really stingy not allowing us to touch them fearing something bad would happen. But I managed to get my hands on them after some convincing. From my observation, the paint on the paintings seems to be covering some kind of a talisman that I didn't recognize. I didn't dare to look further, she answered as Victor unrolled them and then inspected them. They were paintings of a falcon, a centipede and a tree. They also had 3 symbols on the back. Appraising them, yielded no reaction. This must be the effect of the soul symbol. Victor took out the bottle of the soul poison and using a needle he dropped 1 drop on each painting. Right on the symbol. After a while, there was a hissing sound, and Alpha could swear she heard a muffled scream in it. What the hell is this? Victor nodded, then looked at the talismans again with a smile. Awakening Talisman S. He had just killed the souls hiding in those 3. He could eat them, but he preferred not to destroy the awakening talismans. Those things are more important. Too bad the system didn't recognize destroying souls as valid kills. They are safe now, he said as he stored them in his ring. Those things are too precious. Alpha wanted to ask what was that for, but fearing that he would make unreasonable demands, she decided to throw a curveball and ask about the incident first. Can you tell us now what happened back then? Alpha asked Victor, as she gave Theta a worried look. The painting was just a front, what really mattered was something else they carried. The talisman and a symbol, he said. A symbol? Alpha asked with uncertainty. Yes, it was a soul transfer rune. It contained a soul from the outer world. The thing that Theta saw was the soul trying to enter her body to occupy it. He said, making Alpha gasp. Then look at Theta again, this is the first time she heard of something like that. But how can the soul enter from the outer worlds? Didn't the world destroy it? And, was it the thing you swallowed? She asked as she looked at him. Yes. Don't worry, occupying a body does not work on players as it would create a mismatched checksum in the system data, that might lead to the player's ID being deleted if it succeeded. Victor said, I employed a soul defense technique, so I was the one who ate it, he added. Ate? She asked. Her family didn't have soul techniques. So she had no idea what that meant. Yes, that thing wanted to occupy my body and eat my soul. So I ate it first and inherited all its knowledge. And that's the reason I fell into a coma. Digesting another soul is not easy. That one was too greasy, he said, making Theta swallow her saliva. Then, what did it want? How was it able to infiltrate this world? She asked. It was a really smart method. The paintings here are awakening talismans that were sent from the other world, he said, making Alpha look at him with interest. She heard of those, but her ancestor never saw one, as they were usually used as soon as they were found to avoid them being stolen. They were one-use items anyway. I am not sure about the rest, but from the memories of the soul I have some assumptions. You see, those guys in the outer world wanted to send some of their disciples into this world to create some forces for the invasion, he said, making Theta, who was sitting silently by the side, gasp. Invasion? She asked. Victor looked at Alpha, who answered her little sister. Don't tell anyone, but this world is suffering an attack from other worlds. It is still holding now, but the barrier will break eventually. We just don't know when. At that time demons and creatures from other worlds would probably flood our world to occupy it. She explained. Her family had some records about such things. Ah, Theta opened her eyes wide in fear. Victor knew well that her fear was justified. Those souls that crossed had many goals in this world. But the most important one was to build a spy network and create a connection array that would open a gate to their world for the armies to start their attack once the world's defenses were broken after the reckoning. It happened in his past life, and the casualties were in the millions. And the reason he chose to tell Alpha and Theta about them was because he wanted to form a unit to hunt those guys. With Theta's luck, things might be a little easier. Don't worry, as long as you stay by my side no one can hurt you, Victor said, reassuring Theta before continuing his story. Anyway, those guys in the other world were approached by a mysterious man who claimed that he found a way to make a soul survive in our world, and after they tried it, the forces began to pay him to send their agents here. He said. The talisman? Alpha asked. Yes, they found a bug in the system. If the soul was able to occupy the body of a target during the awakening, the system would not be able to find it. So they packaged the souls of their agents in an awakening talismans and sent them here. The world does not reject artifacts, Victor explained. Oh, so they sent the souls here, Alpha said. Exactly, those talismans would be painted a drawing representing the bloodline originator of the soul owner, so that they may attract mortals with similar bloodlines. And they would activate when they find a suitable target, Victor said, making Alpha sigh in relief. Lily made the right decision to forbid anyone besides her from touching those things. But who was that artist? She asked after thinking a little. I don't know, but I have a theory. The artist should be that mysterious man's avatar. He should have wandered into this world and was stuck inside a dungeon where he was able to get a new body during an awakening. He said, with a frown. An avatar? Alpha asked. Yes, some bloodlines have such skill. It's like a part of your soul that you can send to explore the world. It seemed like that guy belonged to some sort of a sect that specializes in soul techniques. And that was why he was able to send the souls of those guys here, by setting his avatar as a target. Or making him create a summoning array on this side. Victor explained. Then why did he die? Alpha asked. Well, this probably has something to do with me, as the soul I ate belonged to a princess. A very high-ranking one, with a lot of lovers. The guys on the other side must have realized that she died. Someone must have taken the liberty to take revenge. But who knows, this might all be a coincidence. Victor said. I see. Alpha said, those guys must have been sending agents here for a while now. She said, yes, and it is nearly impossible to discover them. So we must be careful, especially of people who have awakened during the last 3 years. He said, I will tell Kai to investigate this, then it will be your mission to do the dirt work on the ground. He added, making Alpha frown a little then nod. This would be a good long-term mission for the brothel girls. I wanted to ask you about something else, Alpha said. About, what is wrong with Theta's system? Why does it have so much extra stuff? She asked. Ah, about that. Victor smiled as he looked at Theta, who was a little worried. Well, the paintings contained an updated system. Where do you think the world got its system from? It copied it from other worlds. He said, making Alpha frown. Is it dangerous? She asked with concern. Not at all, on the contrary, this system has many features that make leveling up easier. For example, she doesn't need to clear a dungeon to level up or learn skills. Victor said, making the surprised Alpha look at Theta with envy. What a lucky girl. I will find some time to write an explanation for those things later. And when I use the other 3 talisman, I want you to be there, as you might get a system upgrade, as I did. He added, making Alpha look at him with her eye shining. She was really tempted. Alright, Theta, did you regain your memories? He asked as he stood up intending to leave the room. He already knew the answer. Yes, Theta answered while lowering her head. After awakening, she remembered her past, the memories that Titus erased. Alpha looked at Theta with shock. She never told her. What secrets does her little sister hold? Do you want to return to your family or remain with me? I might need you to dress like a guy to hide you if you stayed with me. He asked, not intending to pressure her. After reading her name with his appraisal skill, he had a clear idea about her true identity. Theta Robin Blood Flint. Level 0. Class Divine Gambler SSS. Authority 5. Health 270. Stamina 280. Mana 310. Strength 27. Intelligence 30. Agility 27. Luck 70. Charm 30. Order 10. Recognized skills. Cooking D. Swimming D. Charming Men F. Bedroom Arts D. Spotless Cleaning F. Staff Arts F. Pistol Arts F. System Skills. Lucky Chance S. Charm D. Fireball E. Class Skills. Healthy Gamble S. Money Gamble S. Betting Agreement S. Magic Attribute Fire. Bloodline. Twin-tailed Lucky Cat S. Fate Status. Fate's Power C. Fate's Direction. Rising Fast. Fate's Design. Undefined. Total. C++. I want to stay with the young master. She said with determination. She was a little surprised that Victor seemed to know her true identity. But no matter what, she would never return there. She liked it here, although she had to work as a maid. She had many loving sisters and a kind young master. She never felt mistreated. While there, she would probably be killed sooner or later. In her heart, she felt that no matter what, the young master would keep her safe. He knows everything after all. And he stood in the face of that thing that wanted to hurt her. Fine then, go pester Alex and let him teach you how to act like a guy. I expect to see a handsome Theta warming my bed tomorrow. Victor said, making her blush as he exited the room while wondering if meeting her was his or her lucky chance. He must increase her blood purity. At 12% it was too low. She was probably some concubine's daughter. And he would wait until she was ready to tell him to be herself. Maybe he could secure some benefits from her family. After leaving the study, Victor quickly headed to the garage where Lily was alone waiting. The car is ready, young master. I already called George, and Master Theodore is in his villa in the suburbs. she said in an aggrieved voice, making Victor realize that he went too hard on her. Looking at her sorry appearance, he suddenly pushed her to the wall, then without speaking anything he planted his lips on hers, making her involuntarily hug his head and kiss back hard. She was really worried that he would never wake up. Victor's thoughts were different. He was thinking of how Lily was a lousy kisser. He needed to find some time to educate her well. After a while, Victor stepped back and looked at the blushing Lily looking back at him with some anticipation. "It has been hard on you," he whispered in her ear softly. "Any further action would have to wait until we awaken our bloodlines," he added, making her lower her head in shame as she nodded. Smiling slightly, he turned around and began to inspect the 20 luxurious cars parked there. Those vehicles ranged from sporty to professional, from small to big. No matter what he might need, they got it. They even got a big bus. "Not bad," he said as a black convertible sports car made its way loudly into the garage. Margaret had returned. She jumped right out of the car into Victor's arms. Then under Lily's jealous eyes, she kissed his lips for no less than 5 minutes. Being a really good kisser comes with the slut package. "I missed you, young master," she said while catching her breath after her lips parted from his. She never expected him to be a better kisser than her. Was he really a virgin? And why did his lips have an extra flavor? "I know. Now go grab Alex, then scrub the dining room's floor. I want it to be shining like a mirror when I return," he said as he took the car she was driving, then gestured to Lily to sit in the driver's seat. "Why?" the shocked Margaret asked. "Do you think that the privilege of looking at this young master's perfect body comes cheaply?" he answered as the car zipped out of the mansion. Lily, who was driving, was glad to see Margaret get punished. That slut was the one who instigated them. "I will take a nap. Tell me when we arrive," Victor softly told her, making her frown. Wasn't he just in a coma? Didn't he finish sleeping? Victor ignored her as he closed his eyes and began to look at what did his blood slaves do while he was asleep. Oh, Rita was in a deep sh*t. This went beyond his wildest imagination. What to do? Well, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, of course. Chapter 134, Rita's Goal. Rita was floating in pitch-black darkness while weeping in pain. She didn't know how long it was. A week, a month, a year. She had no energy to think as the pain assaulted her very soul. Suddenly the pain stopped. She opened her eyes and looked around. She was still in the dark void. "You have been punished enough. And it's time for you to act," the system's voice told her. "Ah, you're back," she said as tears fell from her eyes. "Yup," the voice said as a shadow floated toward her from the foggy distance. "You are the system?" she asked in a shaking voice. "Yes, sorry about acting like a system, but I had to make sure that you were trustworthy," the voice said as it slowly changed from the mechanical voice to a familiar one as the figure's face became clear. It was Victor, who was dressed in a white robe like an immortal figure. "Is this a dream?" she asked. "No," he replied, making her frown. "How did you get here? Where are we?" she asked as she looked around in fear, not understanding what was going on. "This is your soul realm. Every human has one, and the reason I am here is that I branded you as my blood salve that day at the ceremony. When I let you drink my blood. Since then, everything you have belonged to me, even your soul," he said, making her look at him with shock. She was both shocked and angry. She always felt that something was wrong with the system, but she didn't dare to resist. Now, she figured it out. "You bastard, you fooled me," she said in an aggrieved voice as she pointed at Victor and then proceeded to hammer him with her fist. "Yes," he replied after a while, noticing that her fists were losing strength, and she was also losing hope. "I fooled you as your father and grandfather did to the family. You guys have been fooling everyone," he said, making her feel guilty. "Now look where that led you," he added. "I am sorry. Did you tell the patriarch about my grandfather's secret?" she asked with concern. "Of course not," he replied. "Why?" she asked as she looked at him with some hope in her eyes. "Because of many factors. But most importantly, I didn't want anything to happen to you. The family would kill you if they knew about your betrayal. And I would lose my pretty maid," he lied while looking at her with clear eyes. "Ah," she didn't know what to say as she lowered her head with embarrassment. Her anger was subdued a lot. "Then why did you only come to see me only now?" she asked. "I told you, you were a bad girl, this was your punishment," he said casually. "He can't show weakness. I am not bad," she said pouting. All she wanted was to marry and have a good family. She never cared about politics. "Did you figure out your situation?" he asked. Ah, no, Levi is probably punishing me for being unfaithful. She said, earning herself a slap at her butt. When did he appear behind her? I told you that you were an idiot before, but I may have been overestimating your mental capacity. He said as she turned to look at him angrily. Her father also called her an idiot, but she didn't like to hear it from Victor. Don't look at me like that. You have always been disposable for the Von Sui family. Just another pawn, he said, making her freeze for a second before nodding. Seeing her current situation, that would be the only explanation. Don't they want my father's help? Even if they plan to backstab us or gain full control of the family, they would need my grandfather's corporation. They promised him the patriarch's position. She said unconvinced. Who said that? They only want to destroy us completely and steal our legacy. Victor said, making Rita look at him with a strange look. That's impossible. Our family is too strong to fall that easily. They would never dare to attack us. She said, strong indeed. But what if we destroyed ourselves with our own hands? What if every faction started killing the others? What if we aroused public anger by creating a massacre or exposing the secret of players like the Von Richter family? He asked, making her pause and think. Everyone knew the Von Richter family's demise story. That would be impossible. We have a lot of allies. She said, unconvinced. Not at all. A well-timed and well-placed attack can make the strongest empires crumble. Let alone a simple aristocratic family. He said while looking at her doubting eyes. Now, if my guess is correct, Levi must be filling your body with corpse energy. The pain was caused by it as it corroded your soul. Victor said, making her frown. She did hear Levi talk about something like that with the men in white coats. But she didn't get it at that time. How did you fix it? She asked. I didn't. I just blocked your pain receptors. Your soul is still being corroded. He said, making her open her eyes in shock. Do you want to feel the pain back? He asked, activating her pain receptors by 5%. No please, she begged as she curled her body in pain. Well, you are my maid anyway. I can't be too hard on you. He said casually, as he blocked the pain again, making her look at him with some relief and resentment. Levi probably wants to convert you to a death bomb. And according to the accumulation of the corpse energy in your body, you would die in 5 months. He would want to blow you up when your energy is at its peak, when the shattering of your soul would turn all of this corpse energy into death rays. Ellipsis. That would be, either at the Firebird tournament or Grandma Anne's birthday party. They would be suitable times. I believe it will be the latter. He said with a frown as Rita shivered unwillingly. She didn't understand what death rays meant, but it sounded really bad. But, they would have a defensive formation, and talismans, at the birthday party. She mumbled, that won't work. Death rays cannot be stopped. Not by a mortal artifact anyway. While Grandma Anne would survive, she would probably be hurt a lot. And half of the elders and party participants would probably perish in an instance. He explained. Are you speaking the truth? She asked him, unwilling to believe. Yes, why would I lie to you? You are dead anyway if I don't help you. He said, making her lower her head as tears fell from her eyes. Do you want to live? He suddenly asked her after a few minutes. Ah, yes, she said as she looked up at him. Will you be an obedient maid from now on? He asked her. Yes, she said, lowering her head again in shame. Then kiss me, he said. Ah, she hesitated, but after remembering what they did in the vault, she got her wits together and approached him, wanting to kiss him on his cheek, but before she could do anything, his lips stole hers, sending a massive shock through her very soul. They were now in the realm of the souls and every sensation would be doubled 10 times. Don't forget who is your master from now on, he said after his lips left hers. This was his 3rd kiss today. Would he get a skill? He liked Lily's clumsy kiss the most, though. Rita froze for a second, then lowered her head and nodded in embarrassment. Let's go. Follow me, he said as he floated in the void in a certain direction. Rita quickly followed him with a blushed face. Floating was hard at first, but she quickly got used to it. After a while she noticed something moving in the distance in front of them. It was a monster that had 9 heads and about 30 hands. It was as if someone took a group of people and then fused them together in a pot. It didn't notice them and seemed to be busy absorbing some kind of energy. What is this? She asked as she hid behind him. This thing was too grotesque for her. It is what they injected into you. A demon ghost, Victor replied, seems to be a high-ranked one too. He added, why does it look like that? She asked, I am not really an expert about those things. But according to my information, the demon is like a core that uses broken souls to build its body. It is now growing in you like an egg by absorbing the souls trapped with the corpse energy that is filling you. The death explosion is one of its skills when it wants to change hosts. It would turn the entire family's archipelago into a death zone when it's time. I wonder what was the deal they gave to sign a contract with them. Contract, yes. All demons that enter this world normally need a contract, or the world system would destroy it. I am curious about what they gave to work for them. Food and shelter, or an open buffet on the archipelago. Victor wondered while Rita wondered why he knew so much. Can we kill it? She asked with some fear. The only reason it is not attacking us is that I hid our presence. But my skills are very limited here, so I can't approach it a lot. Victor said, it is very strong, but you can kill it, I will teach you how. He added, his soul here was only a fraction of his real one. And this was not his domain. What should I do? I don't have a weapon here. She said as she looked around. They were stranded in the void and she had no weapons and no clothes. Ah! She screamed as she covered her naked body. She had just realized that she was wearing nothing all this time. Did you notice at last? He asked with a smirk. Why? How? Why did you not tell me? She said with an aggrieved voice while trying hard to cover her private parts with her little hands. I was enjoying the scene. And you would end up in my bed eventually. He stated. Bastard, how can I get some clothes in this place? She asked with an aggrieved face, looking around at the infinite darkness as if she was searching for a wardrobe. This is your soul space. You can control everything here. Just imagine them, Victor said. Rita frowned, then closed her eyes and tried to imagine a white frilled dress. Ellipsis. Nothing happened. She couldn't do it. Can you give me yours? She asked embarrassingly after trying a few times and failing. No, you must learn to get dressed by yourself, or you will grow up to be a bad girl. He said while nodding as if he was some parent teaching his bad child how to behave. Bastard, she muttered silently. What was that? He asked. Nothing, she said, bitterly. Why is this guy so unreasonable? Well, learning to control your soul is not easy, Victor said as he approached her, making her shrink her body nervously. But to her surprise he only touched his forehead with hers. Suddenly she felt a piercing pain, followed by a flow of information entering her mind rapidly. I just transferred some techniques for you. The simplest would help you create some clothes, while the most advanced one would help you eat that thing. Victor said as he stepped back and watched her hold her head trying to comprehend the information he gave her. Eat? She asked after wondering for a moment. There were indeed a few techniques in her memory now. Soul techniques. Yes, although this place is your soul realm, you are too weak to expel or kill it casually. And if you did that, the men watching over you would notice something. You must use the bloodline reflection art to turn into a dragon and then eat that thing. Dragons are immortal, you know, so death energy is not very effective against them. But you must be in dragon form for that protection to work. He explained. Dragon? She asked. Ah yes, don't tell anyone, but our bloodline originator is an elder dragon. He said casually. What? How do you know? She asked in surprise. Her father once said that the family has been researching their bloodline for ages, and until now, they didn't know what bloodline it was. That is not something a little bed-warming maid like you needs to know. He replied, making her a little resentful. Does he need to keep reminding her of being his maid? Now, you need time to comprehend those things. Just stay away from that thing and train well. He said. Wouldn't all this corpse energy hurt my body? She asked him. Of course, it would, but that can be solved easily. You just have to eat it and gain its memories. He must have a way to control this energy. It is very rare for a demon to offer itself on a plate. You must not let it run away. He said, making her frown a little. Wouldn't I end up an abomination like it? She asked. Probably, but that's up to you. This is an uncharted territory, but I will be with you guiding you along the way. He replied, making her a little fearful. Unfortunately, this is the only way you could survive this. He added with a sigh while thinking about how he could help her. I need you to perform another service though. He said after a while with a smirk, making her look back at him. What service? I am already yours, you can do whatever you want with me, she said sarcastically, earning herself another butt slap. He was practicing his skill. Not for me, but for the family. The awakening orb was destroyed 2 weeks ago. And the family is in distress now. He said. Ah, when? Who did it? She asked. I don't know yet. He lied, but, if you get another one, wouldn't you be able to take an important position in the family? Your grandfather would not be able to control you after that, you might even be able to get an elder position. He said, making her open her eyes wide. Her father and mother would be very proud of her if such a thing happened. Where would I get an awakening artifact from? Even the lousiest one would cause a battle between all the powers. Let alone a high-ranked one like the broken one. She asked, what if you could steal another awakening artifact? The Von Sui has a spare lying around. It is of a very high rank. But that would have to wait until you get out of your current predicament. He added, that's impossible. Their awakening artifact must definitely be guarded heavily. She said, I have a plan. I will tell you about it later, he said, making her look at him for a second. Ah, did you plan this from the start? She suddenly asked him. Wow, my little bed-warming maid has grown smarter. Yes, I wanted to use you to steal their artifact from the start. He confessed. You bastard, you could have told me earlier. She said in a low voice. To tell the truth, I didn't expect that Levi would be this crazy and do this to you. He said seriously. Don't worry, I will help you get revenge. Now focus on training in the techniques I taught you, and forget everything else. He added as he began to fade. You are leaving? She asked in a scared tone. Don't worry, I will visit you daily, so if you have questions I will answer them later. He said, this young master has too many girls to satisfy, you know. He added as he faded, not forgetting to spank her naked butt again before he had completely disappeared. Just trying my new skill, consider it a punishment for calling this young master a bastard. His voice trailed off. Chapter 135, Family's Decision. After finishing with Rita, Victor intended to look at what that pervert Tom did. Before his coma, he gave Tom a mission to raid Charlotte's auction. Too bad he didn't get the chance to see her angry face. Young master, we reached our destination. Lily's melodic voice alerted Victor, so he opened his eyes and looked out of the window with a slight frown. He must have spent a lot of time with Rita, but being in the soul realm makes someone lose track of time. The car was parked next to the gate which led to a grandiose villa, standing at a mountain top. This place was not as big as his mansion, but definitely more luxurious and had a true history to it that no superficial architectural decorations could fake. May I inquire about your identity? A guard at the villa's gilded iron gate asked. This is young Master Victor, we are here to meet Master Theodore. Lily coldly replied, please come right in, the master is waiting for you, the guard said respectfully as he lowered the gate, allowing the car to enter. Lily drove to the villa's door, then, after parking, she stepped down and opened the door to Victor respectfully. Victor stepped down and then put his hand around her waist like a perverted young master before dragging her toward the door where George was waiting. It's good to see that you are well, young master. I was really glad when Miss Lily informed me of your recovery. George said with a smile as he led Victor inside. It's nice to meet you too, Uncle George. I seem to have overexerted myself a little with all the girls. I must learn to constrain myself a little bit in the future. He said, making George nearly stumble after missing a step. If you don't want to tell the truth, at least offer a reasonable excuse. Why did this young master's character take a 180-degree shift after the ceremony? Didn't he have a weak and introverted personality before? Was it all a front? Well, an apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Entering a lavish living room, they could see Theodore sitting on a leather couch, scolding a punk girl who was dressed in a leather jacket and had earrings all over her face. I don't care what style this is. I expect you to dress like a lady. He said coldly. I don't want to marry, I am free to dress the way I want, she said. Okay then, I should return you to live with your mother, maybe you would grow up to be a hooker like her. He said, angrily. You are supposed to be my father, why do you want to get me to marry a guy that I have never met? She said angrily with tears dripping from her eyes causing the heavy mascara on her eyes to leave black smears on her cheeks. The family has been taking care of you, your entire life. It is time to make some sacrifices. And this is the family's order. Think about it, and give me your answer in the morning. He said, gesturing for her to leave. She seemed to want to say more but didn't dare. She turned around to leave and just happened to bump into Victor. She froze. This is the most handsome guy she ever met. Was he the fiancé her father told her about? She wouldn't mind if it was him. Hi, I am Juju, she said to Victor with twinkling eyes, making Lily frown. I am Victor, your younger brother, he said, making the smile on her face freeze. He didn't know her, but from her conversation with his father and by using his appraisal, He realized that she was his half-sister, one of his numerous illegitimate half-siblings who didn't have bloodline or talent. The family must be really desperate to resort to marrying their illegitimate children to cast a big network with the other families. "Ah, nice to meet you," she said embarrassingly, seemingly vexed by him being her brother. Did she just fall for her brother? "Don't worry, esteemed father would never choose a bad fiancé for you. While he won't be as handsome as me, he won't be bad," he reassured her as he entered the room. He knew his father well, and what he just said was the truth. Although Theodore appeared cold, he really cared for his offspring, and would never wrong them. Juju gave Victor a last look and then left the room while thinking about his words. What a narcissistic brother. He is handsome though. Ellipsis. The family's situation must be really bad to order you to marry your daughters, Victor told his father just as he sat down on an opposing couch. Lily stood respectfully behind him. "Yeah, it's a mess. If she was as gifted as Arya I would have sent her to supervise some business instead," Theodore said absent-mindedly before looking at Victor then frowning. "Is this how you were taught to greet your elders?" He scolded lightly. "No, but you didn't seem in the mood for formalities," Victor said casually, making Theodore glare at him before sighing. His son was getting more arrogant each time he met him. "Well, the situation is bad," Theodore said. "George informed me that you were in a coma. What happened?" he asked while trying hard to hide the concern in his voice. "It was an artifact that I bought. It was cursed," Victor lied as he gestured to Lily to massage his shoulders. "Are you okay now?" Theodore asked. "Mostly," Victor replied as he enjoyed Lily's delicate fingers. "Can you participate in the raid next week?" Theodore asked, not intending to ask about the artifact. He always respected his son's privacy. "Wasn't the raid a month later?" Victor asked. "The date was brought forward due to the situation in the family. You must be ready when the time comes," Theodore replied. "Understood, but I might have to attend school. The academy's classes start in 2 days." Victor said. "You are an elite heir, you can skip. Like you weren't planning to do that anyway." Theodore smirked. "Yeah, what exactly is going on in the family?" "Lily told me that something was amiss." Victor asked as if he didn't know. "I can't tell you about it, it's the Patriarch's order," Theodore said, "but I can tell you that something went wrong. And the entire family's existence is in danger," Theodore explained. "That serious?" Victor asked. "Yes," Theodore replied with a sigh. "Is this why you asked me to come here?" Victor asked. "Well, the family has been taking care of you your entire life. It is time to make some sacrifices," Theodore replied, making Victor raise an eyebrow. Wasn't this line exactly the one he used on Juju? "Do you want to marry me off too?" Victor asked, feeling Lily's hands freeze and then squeeze a little harder. "Yes," Theodore said, "the Patriarch had ordered that you must propose to Linda in the coming days," Theodore added, making Victor frown a little. This time frame is too short for his plan. "Can it be delayed until after the raid?" Victor asked. "No, the Patriarch was really upset about your behavior when you met her at the party, so they told me that you would be punished severely if anything went wrong. This alliance is very important for the family," he said, "but you can delay the wedding a little, as long as you set a near date." Theodore added after some thinking. "Fine, I will do that," Victor answered while thinking about how he should make his next move. "Then you have to be ready to receive your new concubine. You will go get her before the raid. She resides in New Lure City," Theodore said. "Understood. What new concubine?" Victor asked with a surprise. He had never heard of this. "Ah, didn't they tell you?" Theodore asked, then looked at George. "Master, I chose to keep this a secret until the young master wakes up," George said. "Oh," Theodore frowned then looked at his son. "Be ready. Your grandmother got you a new concubine," he said with a knowing smile that Victor didn't understand what it meant. "Who is she?" Victor asked as he felt Lily's fingers dig into his shoulders. "Ouch." "Well, do you remember the pendant you gave your grandmother?" Theodore asked. "Yeah," Victor said as he grabbed Lily's delicate hands from behind. She was about to pierce through his bones with her angry fingers. "Well, that guy from the sword sect, what was his name again? Never mind. He had an engagement agreement before, but that girl slept with some other guy and that created a lot of problems and made his father, the Patriarch, lose face." Theodore said. "Your grandmother, after trading the pendant with some benefits from them, and because that guy would not be able to marry anymore, she proposed that the fiancé should be a part of the trade. This would benefit all the parties. The sword sect Patriarch would wash his shame, and we would gain a powerful family as a new ally." Theodore said, making Victor frown. He never expected that his little trade set into motion this much drama. And what does it have to do with me? Couldn't one of my brothers or cousins marry that cheater girl? Victor asked. No, this is a little troublesome, but that girl is George's niece. So her family wanted her to be near him. So you were the only suitable candidate. Theodore answered. George's niece? Victor asked as he looked at George. He remembered something about George being a castaway from his family. His father helped him and saved his life when they were young. Yes, George used to be part of the von Ahmm family. But due to their internal struggles and his identity as an illegitimate son, he was cast out. I met him after that and he became my butler. Theodore said while looking at George with grateful eyes. He still remembers how his life was saved by him many times. After George became all-powerful they wanted to get him back, but he declined and decided to stay with me. So, they want their daughter to get to know him, maybe convince him to return or learn some useful things. Theodore said as George nodded with a sigh. What? Von Ahmm, what is the girl's name? Victor asked quickly. Ah, Nova von Ahmm, Theodore replied after some thinking. Chapter 136, A Discovery. *T, Victor cursed as he sat in the car, making Lily who sat in the driver's seat feel strange. Is there a problem, young master? She asked with concern. She didn't like the fact that he had a new concubine, but she didn't expect her young master to be this upset about it. He even declined his father's invitation for a meal. A big problem, my dear Lily, he replied. Drive slowly, I need to think. He told her and closed his eyes as the car started moving. He remembers hearing the name Nova von Ahmm. Wasn't she the girl Tom asked him about when he started acting as a system? Too bad he does remember who Tom dated in his past life. This guy was a womanizer. If she was the same person, that means, the person whom she cheated on her fiancé with was Tom. And the situation would be really troublesome. Taking her would not be as easy as taking the twins, who only had a crush on Tom back then. Taking her was like grabbing food not from Tom's mouth but from his stomach. It was both troublesome and disgusting. Maybe he should find a method to get rid of her. Was it fate? Probably. This may also be a kind of a world backlash as this engagement is really troublesome. If Tom knew about it, and Victor tried to stop him from meeting Nova, the world would probably find a way to help him out of his enslavement. If that was even possible. But desperate scions do crazy things. He heard of many impossible stories about them in his previous life. The other problem was Nova, as Tom's lover, would she approve of Victor? Probably not. What should he do? For now, he should make sure this was the same girl. Victor quickly contacted Tom, *T. He quickly cancelled the connection. That pervert was spending the time of his life with two wild girls. That piece of *T was enjoying himself while his lover was being stolen. Victor didn't like to watch. It was not good for his health, nor his sanity. Victor dejectedly decided to postpone Tom's conversation to a later time. It would be a long conversation as he also needed Tom to explain what happened when he was in a coma. He should focus on his other main problem now, Linda. Hopefully, the plan he left for Kai was executed, or his plans would become really messy. After taking out his phone, he quickly dialed Kai's number. This is Kai, is it you, young master? Kai replied with a question. Yes, Victor said. Miss Hilda has informed me of your recovery. Congratulations, young master, Kai said respectfully. Yeah, whatever. What is going on in the family? Victor asked. I don't have the full picture, but something wrong happened in the awakening hall. That's all I can say. The entire family is on a spy hunt. So the young master should not do anything out of order as some people might try to use it against you. Kai said nervously as if he was saying something taboo. I see, Victor replied. Kai, telling him this much, proved that he was really loyal. Did you complete the mission? Concerning Miss Linda, Kai asked. Yes, it went all according to plan, but we had to use her blood due to the time constraints. The doctor was able to inject the fertilized egg, but she killed him with his assistant after the operation, so we don't have a complete report. Kai replied. This was Victor's plan to get rid of Linda. He would make her pregnant with Titus's son artificially. This would make a perfect excuse to change the groom. The family could force him to marry a cheating wife, but marrying someone with his cousin's baby was going overboard. Even his father would not keep silent. Did the family suspect anything? Victor asked. Not at all. It was all done in secret. Titus's semen was easily collected after gifting him a movie featuring the new star Kiwiko to watch in his confinement. The lab operation was done using false data and the doctor was paid using untraceable money. Kai replied, making Victor nod in approval. The problem now was how to make the family discover Linda's pregnancy without his interference. The time frame was too short, and the fetus's age would be a problem if it were examined thoroughly. Ellipsis. Should he knock Linda out and make her go into pregnancy in a coma? That might work, but, young master, I found something strange. Kai suddenly said. What? Victor asked absent-mindedly. Miss Linda's blood sample, when we ran it in the family's database. It didn't match any samples we had from the von Rosen family. He said, making Victor frown and go silent for a few minutes. Yeah, what? Are you sure? Victor asked. I repeated the test 3 times. Kai replied. Impossible. Do you know what that means? Victor asked as he opened his eyes wide in shock. I know, it could be a coincidence, or the samples might have got corrupted. But, we need new DNA samples from her anomaly just to be sure. I heard the young master has a new assassins team, they may be able to get a hair or something that he could use to sample the DNA from. Kai said. I will send someone tonight, Victor said as he hung up while thinking deeply. This changes everything. Could it be that Linda was not Amelia's daughter? No, impossible. The von Rosen is a matriarchal family and they pay great attention to their daughter's lineage. But, remembering Linda's name when he appraised her, it had a question mark next to it. Lily, I will leave for a bit, you drive to the mansion. And forbid anyone from leaving tonight. He said, and to Lily's surprise, he jumped from the convertible car into the night. Young master, she screamed and looked back, to find that her young master had already disappeared. What's wrong with him? Scrubbing the floor was not very hard for Margaret and Alex, who were players. But despite that, they were still on their knees scrubbing. The problem was with Victor's request. He wanted it to shine like a mirror. They didn't know how to do it. Neither did Theta, who was watching with interest. Use polish then wax. Hilda scolded them when she passed by and saw what they were doing, then went to get them the stuff they needed. Those two had never done such a thing before. Margaret and Alex were trying to figure out how to start when Lily entered the mansion. Where is the young master? Theta, who was cutely dressed as a boy and was trying hard to learn how to be a man like Alex, asked. Went on a mission, Lily said dejectedly as she sat down on a couch beside Theta. You seem upset, Margaret asked as she looked at Lily. They have gotten to know each other better during the last 2 weeks. Yeah, the young master is getting married in a couple of days, Lily said as she raised her legs and then buried her face in her knees. She was really upset. Hearing the news, the girls looked at each other in surprise. Is it that Linda? Margaret asked while Alex, who acted as if she didn't care, listened carefully. Yes, and another slutty girl whom her family wanted to get rid of. They seem to think that our young master is some kind of breeding stud, Lily said with annoyance. Don't worry. The last time Victor met Linda at the party, he humiliated her in public. So even if he married her, he would probably lock her up in the basement, Margaret said, reassuring Lily. Maybe, but Lily didn't know what to say. Didn't you tell me that the young master can't touch women? Margaret interrupted. Yes, not until he awakens his bloodline anyway, Lily replied as Theta listened carefully. So that's why he didn't touch her that day. Then there is nothing to fear. We just need to get rid of her before that. Maybe we should bully her a little, Margaret proposed. If the young master knew about this, he would punish us for sure, Alex said. And what does this have anything to do with you? As if the young master would marry you someday, Margaret scolded, making Alex quickly turn around to hide her blushed face. What's wrong with her? Why would she care about Victor's marriage? She was just his butler. Victor used the cover of the night to head to the Cross Mansion, where Linda and her mother Amelia lived. The assassin girls would never be able to infiltrate that place, as Victor knew how scary Amelia was. She was a master summoner, and must have placed some crazy things to guard her mansion. So he had to do this by himself. He had nothing to fear now with his level. If it were not for concerns about his family, he might kill this B*TCH and finish his troubles. After an hour, he reached the Cross Mansion. It was big, yet simple, hidden in a lush forest and surrounded by a tall fence with a lot of security. This was the governor's mansion after all. After giving the perimeter an initial scan and then hiding himself, he used the levitation necklace to fly over the fence and head toward the main building. He was here in his previous life, where he was humiliated and then kicked out like a dog by Linda. Looking at the mansion with complex eyes, He soon found a suitable point of entry in an upper floor window. He also noticed several shadows floating around. Guardian demons. Those things were mostly formless and harmless. But they would alert their master if they spotted an intruder. Maybe some other crazy things were hiding around. So Victor wanted to finish this quickly. After scanning what appeared to be an empty guest room, he floated right in. The mansion was very clean. As if the servants here were scared if one speck of dust left uncleaned. Victor moved silently from one room to another, but this damn place was too clean. He couldn't find a single strand of hair. Going downstairs he spotted some servants. But they were busy doing their jobs and didn't notice him. He really wanted to ask about Linda's or Amelia's location though, but couldn't. After some searching, he was able to eavesdrop on some servants who were secretly talking about Amelia. She was not in the mansion at the moment and seemed to be going out a lot these days. Was it because they were preparing to attack his family? Probably. Without Amelia here, he decided that he could move more freely. So he began to explore the mansion and soon found Amelia's office. It was locked and the servants seemed to be avoiding the room. They didn't even dare to look at the door. Victor used his shadow shifter ring to go inside. It was dark, but being a player, Victor didn't need much light to see. So he proceeded to carefully check the office and take pictures of any documents he found interesting. He even found a few strands of hair on the chair and desk. He wanted to search the drawers and the safe too but didn't dare to, as they may have alarms. After finishing with the office, he returned upstairs to search Linda's room for some of her strands. When he entered her room, Linda was not asleep, she was dressed in her nightgown and sitting on her dresser combing her hair while sighing. She seemed really distressed. He had the urge to snap her neck at that very moment, but he was able to hold himself back. This B*TCH can't be killed yet. Victor was going to wait for her to sleep, before taking the liberty to search around and take some samples. But the B*TCH had other thoughts. First, she called her friends one by one and began to rant about how her family was going to make her marry a serial rapist. And then begged them not to tell anyone, like they would ever keep a secret. After hanging up, she was still angry it seemed. So she left the room and headed downstairs, scolding some poor maids in the way. Victor was tempted to use the opportunity to search the room, but after grabbing a couple of hair strands from her comb, he looked around at the pink-decorated princess bedroom and decided to follow Linda instead. This room probably had nothing of importance. Linda headed to the ground floor first where she headed to the kitchen and drank a glass of high-quality bottled water. After that, using an obscure stair she headed to the basement as Victor followed her silently while wondering where the hell was she going. Chapter 137, Unnecessary Plans. After going downstairs, Linda crossed a dimly lit corridor as Victor followed closely. This place's walls were full of sound isolation foam. As if they didn't want a sound to escape this place. Linda was headed to a room at the end of the corridor, where she entered quickly and closed the door behind her as Victor slipped in behind her. The room was mostly empty, besides a tattered bed placed in the center with a monster chained to it surrounded by piles of bones. And a maid sitting on a chair to the side. Looking closely, Victor quickly realized that the monster was in fact a girl that was covered with black hair and her face had a wide jaw full of sharp protruding teeth. Her body was shivered like a mummy in some places while others were muscular. But he could easily tell that she was a girl. She was dressed in some kind of a straitjacket that constrained her hands that had sharp bones protruding from their joints. She was very lively. Her eyes, which glowed red, were full of anger and savagery. When Linda entered the basement, the girl looked at her and growled like a feral beast. She even tried to attack Linda but was constrained by the chains. "You are lively today," Linda mocked, then looked at a maid that was sitting on a wooden chair to the side, seemingly monitoring the girl. "The medications are not that effective anymore, and we didn't dare to give her anything stronger fearing for her life. The doctor thinks that she is nearing her limit," the maid said. "Was she a nurse?" "Oh, leave us," Linda said coldly, making the maid bow respectfully and then leave the room as Linda sat on the chair with a mocking smile. "What shall we talk about today?" "Ah yes. Today I went shopping with my friend Cuckoo, the one from school. We were choosing a dress for my wedding," Linda said, making that monster girl look at her angrily. Then try to attack her again before retreating in pain. Victor could see blood dripping from her. It looked like her skin was breaking up in some places and then healing again. "Oh, don't be angry. Are you that upset that I am going to marry your fiancé?" Linda mocked, making the girl who was withering in pain look at her angrily again. "Don't worry, I will not." "Well, Seeing how much you are bleeding, the demonification should be reaching its last stages. Since you will not live longer, I will tell you a little secret. Linda said, looking back and making sure that the door was closed. Then stepped forward till she reached a line drawn on the ground. This was the limit of that girl's chains. The reason you failed the ritual at that time was not your incompetence as everyone thought. She whispered, in fact, I changed the offering in your bowl. I added some sludge from one of Mother's discarded vials. I only expected the ritual to fail, but didn't expect you to be possessed by some demon. Linda said, chuckling as that girl froze in shock and her mouth split wide while rows of demonic teeth sprung forward trying to bite Linda, who just stood proudly at a safe distance. Who would have thought that the engagement was so important that Mother chose to give me, the lowly maid who used to follow you, your name and status, Linda added as she laughed. It was because I always followed you, so it was easy for her to tell everyone that you were the maid. I became the bride while the genius Miss Linda became the slave. I can't stop my laughter every time I remember how you begged your mother for me to attend the ritual too. Not realizing I was plotting against you. She laughed hard while holding her stomach, as the girl screeched loudly and Victor stood behind her in shock. Was this girl the real Linda? He met Linda for the first time when he was 10 years old at the family's archipelago. Her mother brought her then to meet her fiancé. The switch must have happened a little earlier. And this girl must have been here since then. The Von Rosen ritual, the way they turned their heirs into players, was different from the other families. Their awakening artifact acts as an intermediary. Every heir would attempt a demon summoning ritual, they would fight the demon that got summoned. If the summoning fails, then they would lose the right to be heirs. If they win, they would gain the demon's powers. If they lose, they might die, or worse, lose their body to demonic possession, although that rarely happened. Sometimes though, a demon that is more powerful than expected appears, making the heir face mortal danger. By winning, he would gain immense power. By losing, no one can save him. This girl must be in the latest possession stages. And when the possession finishes, the world would kick the demon to its original dimension and kill this girl. Victor wondered why they let her live until now. The pain of being possessed by a demon was not something a young girl can tolerate. Like how Rita was weathering in pain earlier. Couldn't they just kill her and relieve her of her misery? Was Amelia really that indifferent to her daughter's suffering? Not likely. Let's see, Victor thought as he activated his appraisal skill. Lin, D.A. Cross Von Rosen. Level 0. Class Ace Summoner AAA. Authority 5. Abnormal state. Demonized by Demon Devourer Khazar. Strong 97%. Cursed SSS. Parasitic possession. If killed, the demon would possess the killer or the one WHO instigated him. Drugged S. Suppressed SS. Strength 23,980ths. Intelligence 23,997ths. Agility 10,983rds. Luck 1. Charm 135th. Order 10. Skills: Devouring SS, Death Blade S, Self Heal S, Death Shrill A, Resistance Building C, Enhanced Senses C, Poison Resistance A, Drug Resistance A, Summoning Art B, Demonic Command D, Drug Brewing D, Staff Arts D, Alchemy E, Charm F, Sleeping F, Equipment, Demon Suppressing Collar SS. Fate Status, Fate's Power, F, Fate's Direction, Slightly Negative Changing, Fate's Design, Painful Death, Total, F. So that's it, they couldn't kill her, or the curse would transfer to them. Victor frowned as he watched Linda mock that girl. Is this how she relieves her anger? What *TCH. I wonder what Mother would say if she knew I was mocking you. Hee, let me tell you. She probably knows. She just doesn't care, Linda said, making the girls try to attack her again. Don't be angry. Do you know why I am telling you all of this? I probably won't meet you again, you know. In a few days, Mother would send me to the family for some kind of a before-marriage class. But let me tell you another secret. I will not go there, Linda whispered so faintly that even Victor had difficulty hearing her. Hee, his name is Bill, he is 100 times better than your fiancé. He will come and take me away. He already told me that he would not let me marry any other man. I will be enjoying myself as a princess, while you rot here like a cockroach. Linda said proudly, enjoying the feeling of superiority and ignoring the girl's angry look, as she thought about how she would dump this bitch's pervert, fiancé, for the better man. At that moment, there was a knock at the door that made Linda flinch and jump back in fright. Did anyone hear what she said? Come in, she said, The maid who left earlier returned, making Linda frown. The mistress is back. She wants you to go meet her, she said, making Linda nod, then turn and give the girl a smirk before heading upstairs after making a strange sign with her hand. Victor thought for a moment, then followed Linda after giving the pitiful girl and the pitiful nurse a last look. Ellipsis. Linda quickly headed to her mother's study, where Victor entered behind her. Amelia, who was sitting at her office, looked up with a frown as if she felt something wrong when Linda entered the room. She moved her fingers in a strange rhythm, making a shimmering demon, that Linda didn't see, enter the room and look around, then disappear after finding nothing. Victor was surprised. This woman was more dangerous than he anticipated. Name: Amelia von Rosen, CROSS. Level: 75. Class: Ace Summoner. Authority: 7. Strength: 215. Agility: 188. Intelligence: 221. Luck: 31. Charm: 37. Order: 30. Skills: Demonic Instinct A. Summoning Art A. SX Arts A. Energy Drain A. Demonic Command B. Drug Brewing B. Needle Arts C. Quick Steps C. Charm C. Sword Art D. Accounting D. Alchemy D. Surveying E. Cooking F. Poetry F. Poison Resistance F. Equipment: Defense Talisman A. Demon Repelling Necklace B. Summoner Grimoire D. Storage Ring E. Fate Status: Fate's Power C. Fate's Direction: Neutral. Fate's Design: Unspecified. Total C. Do you want anything, Mother? Linda asked respectfully after bowing. I just got some news that Victor has visited his father, where he was ordered to propose to you as planned. He should come here in a few days. So make sure to dress perfectly and don't do anything stupid, Amelia said, making Victor frown. There were some spies in his father's mansion, it seemed. But Bill will be here on the weekend, Linda said. Didn't I order you to stop contacting him? Amelia asked angrily. I did, but he kept sending me messages. I can't ignore him, Linda said. Well, I will be streaming the proposal live to Anne, so even if he showed up it would be useless, Amelia said with a frown, making Linda squeeze her fist hard behind her back, as Victor watched the drama in amusement. This situation was trickier than he anticipated, and all of his plans were now thrown out of the window. He never expected that all of his plans were for nothing. This B*TCH was going to destroy her family's scheme by herself. What should he do? Simple. He would delay the engagement for a few days until Bill comes and takes Linda. They would not try to find a new Von Rosen wife for him before finding out where Linda ran off to. Maybe in a week or two, someone would tip his grandmother about Bill's affair. And maybe, just maybe, what if Bill discovered the truth about Linda's baby? Wouldn't he try to kill Titus, bringing both of their factions into a war? Wouldn't that be good for him and his brother, who was like Bill, a patriarch candidate? There are a lot of ifs in this plan, but it's not that bad at all. All he has to do now is wait. And maybe facilitate Linda's escape. Victor had the urge to kiss this B*TCH at that moment. This girl was really great. Chapter 138, Her Name. She wanted to cry, but no tears came from her demonic eyes. And her misery only intensified the pain in her body. A body that she could barely control nowadays. She gave P***y everything. She even begged her mother to let her attend the ceremony with the family heirs so that they could always stay together. All this time she thought that P***y really cared for her, as she came here every other night to check on her and maybe brag a little. She hoped that she just wanted to entertain her. Not even in her worst nightmares, she could have thought that her best friend would betray her like this. P***y was the maid given to her by her mother. She never treated her as a maid but as a friend. They grew up together after all. And they should have trusted each other. She even gave her the name P***y, as she reminded her of a cat. She didn't know what it meant when she was young. Was this the reason she betrayed her? She was feeling desperate, when the nurse who was taking care of her today suddenly stood up from her chair and approached her with an absent-minded look. The nurse couldn't see it, but the girl could. The tiny demon that was floating on top of the woman's head guided her toward the bed. It's P***y's familiar. She recognized it. Did she send it here? Was she afraid that the nurse heard something and wanted to get rid of her? Was P***y always this vengeful? She wanted to warn the nurse to stay away from her, but she couldn't speak. She could only growl. The nurse ignored her as she approached and crossed the red line drawn on the ground, making the demon control the girl's body and use her mouth to bite the unsuspecting nurse's neck, killing her in an instant. She wanted to stop but her instincts were too strong. The hunger was too strong. She didn't want to eat. But something in her body pushed her to devour the meat of the nurse. She didn't feel remorse. She just was a little sad for the nurse. She was new here. Her mother usually brought them to take care of her and read books to her. She really liked listening to books. It calmed her down and made her learn about the world outside. That demon possessing her seemed to be listening too. What for? She didn't know. But that behavior made her mother keep sending her servants to read in the room and subdue the demon. Sadly, sooner or later those nurses would make a mistake and either end up dead by her mother, or as a meal on her plate. You seem to be enjoying your meal. A nice voice startled her, making her look up as blood dripped from her lips. It was a young man. He was handsome, too handsome to be human. She wanted to ask who he was. And, what was he doing here? But again, she could only growl. Is this how you treat your fiancé? Where are your manners? Wouldn't you even ask me to sit down, little Linda? He asked, making her open her eyes wide in shock. No one used the name Linda on her for a long time, not even her mother. They would just call her that thing, or simply the girl. Wait, fiancé, Victor, the one P*****y was bragging about. The one she wants to cheat on. Let me introduce myself. I am Victor von Weiss. The one and the only. He said arrogantly as he bowed down elegantly, confirming her thoughts. He is just too handsome. Sheesh. She wanted to speak but couldn't. That demon was opposing her. You don't need to speak. I know that you want to introduce yourself. And I have already heard your conversation with that idiot earlier. I already know your story, little Linda. Your demonification is already at 97%. No 98%. Did that B** teaches instigation make your case worse? He wondered, making her frown. Demonification. Yes, her case can be described as such, but the family just called it a cursed possession. We don't have much time, he said as he looked her in the eye and smiled softly. Was he not disgusted by her? She couldn't even dare to look at herself in a mirror. Let's see, he said, as began to walk around the bed inspecting her, making her feel very embarrassed. You might not be aware, but your family is trying to destroy my family, he said with a sigh, making her feel shocked. She didn't know about that. Impossible, but again, she was young when she turned into this abomination. I will give you a choice. The first one, I would kill you and end your misery. Don't worry, the possession would not harm me. I am immune to curses, he said, making her look at him with interest. The demon was too. The second choice, I would free you from that guy possessing you, but you would be my slave from now on. And I might use you to destroy your family, he said, making her frown. Was he serious? Impossible. The possession was permanent as the demon was of the SS rank. That's what her grandmother said when she took a look at her. And he would use her to destroy her family. She didn't care about them. They only came to see her once, then told her mother to lock her up and throw the key, but her mother really cared. Ellipsis. After waiting 5 minutes in silence, he spoke again. You seem reluctant. Well, how about this? I will give you a concubine position and I could help you keep the lives of a few chosen ones from your family. How about that? I would have wanted you to be the matriarch. But that's impossible, as you were out of the loop for too long. And after that B** teaches plan succeeds, your mother would be in a very embracing position, he said, making her frown further. He was right, and she really wanted to be his wife. But she could accept being a concubine. What was she thinking? After some time she decided to accept his proposal. She had nothing to lose anyway. She wanted to nod, but her body started acting strangely as if it wanted to attack Victor. It was the demon feeling the danger. She growled, warning him, don't come near. But he didn't listen. Seemingly knowing what was on her mind, he stepped inside the line. And to her horror, the demon used her body to attack him. But just as she jumped to bite his head off, he caught her from the back of her neck like a kitten. His hands were so strong that she couldn't even move. She could hear the demon inside of her curse about the shackles and the necklace that was suppressing it. It couldn't display its full power, it wanted to break free. But Victor's hands were like a steel vice grip, not letting go at all. I will drop my blood into your mouth. If you really accept my proposal, don't spit it and let it integrate with your soul, he said, dripping a drop of his purplish blood into her mouth. The demon didn't let her open her mouth, but Victor forced it open with his hand. It wanted to struggle, but couldn't. And when the blood touched her tongue she had the urge to spit it. But using the last of her will she swallowed it. She knew that if this failed, the possession would be complete, as she had no more strength to fight. She felt the blood reach her throat where the demon forced her to cough, but she resisted as the tears fell from her eyes. It felt like an eternity had passed when the blood reached her stomach. The demon's will attacked again, forcing her to throw up. But she resisted. Then the feeling of relief came. It was as if every part of her body was alive. The blood had magically dissolved and integrated into her very essence. She felt that she could stop it. The demon commanded her to stop it. The demon requested that she stop it. The demon begged her to stop it. She didn't. She heard a scream. It was her own. When she opened her eyes, she saw that Victor was pressing a talisman on her forehead. The talisman burned as she stopped screaming. But the screaming didn't stop. It was not hers anymore. It was a grotesque lion-like demon that seemed to have come out of her body. It was twitching in pain. Then, suddenly, it turned around and attacked the bed and began to sink its teeth into it with its split mouth. What's wrong with it? Victor moved his finger unbinding the straitjacket as a silver needle appeared out of nowhere in his hand. He placed the needle between her fingers and then pushed her hand and the needle into the demon's head. She didn't have the strength to move her arm, but the needle was so sharp that it penetrated the demon's skin easily. It let out one last scream and then dissolved into a sludge of green material under her astonished eyes. Was it this simple? Demon Khazar has been slain by the player candidate. Player Linda has completed the ritual. Welcome player. Demon Khazar's attributes and skills have been added to your base. Warning. Attributes cap reached. Any additional attributes would not be usable. Congratulations on finishing your ritual. How long was it? 7. 8 years. Victor asked. 8. She replied with a harsh voice as she just froze there, unable to believe what happened. And then involuntarily she began to cry as she hugged Victor, who quickly collected the needle in her hand with a frightened expression. Thank you, she said with some difficulty as she buried her head in his chest. Was this a dream? If it was, she wanted it to last forever. It's okay, he said after he collected the green sludge in his ring. He patted her head for a while then spoke. Now let me bind you again. He said. What? Why? She asked as she looked up facing him. Was this a nightmare after all? Your mother must not discover that someone helped you. You must display signs of recovery slowly by yourself. He replied, making her nod after thinking for a while. That made sense. Just claim that after eating this nurse you felt as if the demon was weakened somehow and that you used the opportunity to wrestle control out of it. He said after some thinking. Would they believe that? She asked. Yes and no. Every player has his secret. And strange things happen all the time. Who knows? Just play dumb and insist on your story. Victor said, making her wonder, what was he plotting? What was his secret? Okay, she said. Talking was a little hard for her. Now I will use my power to return you to the demonized state. He said, making her feel strange then looking at her legs to realize that they were no longer hairy and bloated. They were smooth and shiny. She was practically naked if not for the straitjacket. Why? She asked with some embarrassment, as she closed her legs a little. You must not reveal anything until that B*TCH escapes with Bill. Or I would have to marry her. Your mother wouldn't reveal you that easy as that would put her in an awkward position. He replied, making her nod again. A few days will not make a difference. Her name is Pussy, she said with a blush. She shouldn't have named her that. Who? The fake Linda? Victor asked with a raised eyebrow. Yes, she answered, keeping her head down. No wonder she didn't want to remember her name. Don't worry, I plan to take revenge on her too. Just don't startle her, he said, making her nod. Should I call you Linda then? He asked as he put his hand on her head brushing her tangled hair. After all, you are my concubine from now on. He added, making her blush. Just call me Lynn. I don't want to use that name ever again. She answered while enjoying the feeling of his hand patting her head. Chapter 139. Trouble in the Company. After taking care of Lynn's problem, Victor silently left the Cross Mansion and headed back home. What happened was a big surprise for him. He didn't expect that Linda was fake. No wonder her family didn't give her any important role and didn't tell her about the parasite beforehand. They never truly trusted her. Lynn on the other hand surprised him more. He never expected her to be that cooperative, but considering her situation, it could be understood. That girl is too smart and didn't need convincing. He was her knight in shining armor after all. But with Lynn's powers, she is one of the strongest players before the reckoning. He must use her well. He really didn't care about Amelia, he didn't mind leaving her. Sooner or later the Von Rosen would suffer that catastrophe. And he would be able to make use of the mother and daughter after he kills all of the elders to take control of the family and all its assets. Putting this problem at the back of his mind, he tried to contact Tom again on the road. But that piece of shit hasn't finished yet. He was abusing his powers as a player to the limit. Victor sighed, quickening his steps. When he entered the mansion it was already 12:00 am. He was surprised by the shiny floor. It seemed like Alex and Margaret really put their hearts into it. "Welcome back, young master," Mina, who seemed to be waiting for him, greeted. "Where are the girls?" he asked. "They went to sleep. Chick something, 17, arrived an hour ago." Lily escorted her to the study. She said, "Oh, she is a he, now go get some sleep, I will take you shopping tomorrow," he said as he approached her and then kissed her forehead before heading to the study. Mina, who didn't expect the sudden kiss, blushed a little, then bowed and ran to his room to brag in front of her sister who was also there. Entering the study, Victor gave Lily a nod and then gestured to Chick 17 who stood up in respect to sit back down. He sat on his chair behind the desk with Lily's help and then patted his lap for her to sit on it before looking at Chick 17. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "Congratulations on your recovery, young master," Chick 17 said respectfully. "And, as I have been telling Miss Lily, we might have a problem," he added as he avoided looking at Lily who relaxed on her young master's lap. "What problem?" Victor asked. "We caught a rat a few days ago, and another one yesterday. They were journalists, Jane Armstrong and her assistant John Smith. They have been sniffing around the factory," he said. "Oh, it was probably my fault for missing the appointment with her. Did any of you meet her?" He turned to Lily and asked. "I told Arya to take care of the problem. But we didn't know what to tell her, so she must have found a way to delay the interview," she said with a frown. "Did Arya return yet?" he asked. "Not yet. There seemed to be some trouble in the company, so she was staying late. She should be on her way back," Lily answered. "I see. Where did you keep them?" he asked Chick 17. "At the factory, we have a holding room there. Master Nick used to keep kidnapped girls," Chick 17 answered. "Ah, don't call him master," Victor scolded. "I will go see them tomorrow. Treat them well," he said. "Understood," Chick 17 replied. "Did you do anything regarding the construction I asked you about?" he asked. "Not on the ground, but we were able to purchase the entire mountain. The seller needed some convincing, but Miss Lily and Miss Margaret somehow did it," he replied, then looked at Lily with a questioning gaze. "Margaret did it. I don't know how. I spend most of my time next to the young master," Lily said, puffing her cheek. She seemed a little jealous that Margaret was more useful than her. "Oh, that's good," Victor said while wondering what Margaret did. "Her charming ability is very useful in such situations. Start buying construction material, and do it silently. I want you to dig into the mountain to build a base there," he said. "But that would require some more hands, and equipment," Chick 17 said. "I will get you the equipment. As for the hands, recruit some people from faraway villages. Pay them well, but scare them a little so that they would never talk and transport them there blindfolded. Keep the location a secret as much as possible," Victor said, knowing well that no secret could be kept forever, especially regarding such a grand project, but he could delay people finding out about it. "Understood," Chick 17 replied. "If there is nothing else you can leave," Victor said. "That's all, young master," Chick 17 said as he stood up and bowed, then left the room while giving Lily, who was putting her head peacefully on Victor's shoulder, a weird look. Is this the same demon girl who grilled them for 3 days because one of them asked her what was behind the veil? Ellipsis. After Chick 17 left, Victor put his head on Lily's head, brushing her hair. "You seem upset," he said. I feel useless. Everyone has a mission to do. Except me. And when the young master needs something to be done, you are doing it yourself," she complained. "Did your sisters recover?" he asked. "Yes, they regained their health, and are ready for any mission," she replied firmly. "Good, I want you to send them to find suitable children to be trained as assassins. I want them to create an assassination organization," he said. Lily opened her eyes in excitement. She was getting jealous of Alpha, who was building her own team lately. "I understand, but I need a base, and the families have already taken all the promising children from the orphanages around the country. If we found any, they would be useless," Lily said. "I don't want those. And my idea is different. You won't create a fixed organization, but think of it more like an assassin's guild. It has base members and outside members who would take missions. To build the base team, search shanty towns and juvenile prisons for suitable candidates. It doesn't matter if they were a little weak or a little evil, I have ways to strengthen and fix them. But they must have a loyal character, have good management skills, and they must agree to this by themselves. I don't want to force anyone who might betray me down the line. He said, copying the formula of many guilds that would rise after the reckoning. Understood. But even so, how can we be sure of their loyalty? She asked. Does he want to use the slavery ring on them? I can't be sure, but they wouldn't know who their real boss is. They shouldn't even know about you. I will leave it to you how to implement this. He said. In addition to that, I will implement nano chips in their body. I have a good design that I will give to Kai later. He should be able to manufacture some of them silently. He added. The nanotechnology he knew of was just a little more advanced than the current one used by the family, but not by much, so Kai should be able to manufacture them. Although they would be useless after the reckoning, but by that time he should have got some good control artifacts. Lily nodded as her eyes shone with determination. At last, something for her to do. I would prefer that you just stay by my side and be my hug pillow though, Victor said suddenly as he hugged her tightly and buried his nose in her hair, making the blush on her face reach her ears just as the study's room opened, and Arya walked in. Victor, am I interrupting something? She asked with a blush after seeing Lily's ambiguous position on her young master's lap. No, not at all, sit down. Victor said as he caught Lily, who wanted to run away. Are you feeling okay now? What happened? Why were you in a coma? Arya asked him while trying hard to ignore Lily on his lap. Yes, I just overexerted myself a little with all the girls around, Ha answered, making her want to kick him. At least tell a good lie. That's good then, make sure to take care of your health. She mumbled as she gave Lily a jealous look. I wanted to ask you, what did you tell Jane Armstrong that day? He asked. I didn't speak with her, I just told Susan to schedule another appointment for her. But I didn't ask what she did after that. We have some trouble in the company and I was really busy, Arya said. What's wrong? Victor asked. With the money his family was pumping into their companies, it was rare for something like this to happen. I don't know. Suddenly all of our contracted actors stopped working with us, they even paid their contractual fines with a smile. And I can't find any A-list or B-list actors who were willing to work with us lately. She said with a sigh, thankfully Mr. Silverberg and John Sigma are still on board. They told me someone approached them with a few million, asking them to leave the company. She added, oh, it must be that slut Charlotte. I will allow you to use all the family resources and money. First, we must teach those the ads what it means to betray us. Call Kai and tell him their names. I will make them get arrested. I bet most of them did some stupid mistakes in the past. Make sure that they would spend a few months in prison at least. It might fix their character. Backquote he said, making Arya look at him with a frown. That would raise public anger. And no one would work for us after that, she said. No, they would, if we paid them well. And, I will not accept most of them anyway. He said arrogantly, create a new recruitment campaign. We will also start a movie star competition. And do some recruitment and audition in film schools. He said, if they don't want to work for us, we will get new ones. He said coldly, but, we would need good actors. Arya protested, not really, just 1 or 2 stars in a movie are sufficient. We just need good scripts and directors. I will write you the names of a few obscure writers later, you go recruit them. He said while thinking about a few names in his past life. He could write the scripts of future blockbusters from memory, but he was too lazy to do that. He can just hire the original writer and director. Fine, Arya said, sounding unconvinced. When you do the auditions make sure to invite me, I want to look at all the pretty promising actresses there. He added with a grin. I will, she said with a sigh while brushing her purple hair with her fingers. It had a strange shimmer that made Victor open his eyes wide. If there is nothing else I will go to sleep. She said she was now a little relieved after Victor's recovery. Tonight, she could sleep without worrying about him. Wait, Victor yelled suddenly with a strange look on his face, that made Arya and Lily frown. Come here and drop your blood on this book, Victor, who took out the blood book from his ring, told Arya, as he wondered why the hell did he forget about her. Even now, he almost forgot again. Could it be that her purple hair is the result of her having some strange bloodline? Wait, why didn't he think of that earlier? Arya frowned when she looked at the strange leather-bound book, but she quickly used a pin to cut her finger and marked the book with her blood. Blood ID 15,248 octillion 794 septillion 411 sextillion 154 quintillion 671 quadrillion 989 trillion 899 billion 454,641,124. Rank SS. Authority condition met infinity greater than 200244. Do you want to reveal blood encoded data? Yes, no. Blood ID 15,248 octillion 794 septillion 411 sextillion 154 quintillion 671 quadrillion 989 trillion 899 billion 454,641,124. Rank SS. Data status complete. Originator species death spirit. Special blood effects all or nothing. Forget about me. Hidden. Super death energy resistance. Super enhanced memory, enhanced magic power, enhanced intelligence, enhanced poison resistance, enhanced shock resistance, enhanced memory, enhanced charm, bloodline skills, death touch SSS, spirit hunter SS, inverted, healing SS, death shrill, S, blood mark S, hiding, S, charm, A, survival instinct S, searching A, weakness, truth orb, reveal true form, life flowers, mortal danger, disabled powers. Warning, bloodline contains hidden constraints and memories. Victor frowned. This one was also a spirit like Mira, but Arya was of a higher rank. They must have come from the same world, and what is a spirit hunter? And why does her bloodline contain memories and constraints? Would she be an enemy? He should find a way to control her before he awakens her bloodline, and he should probably search for her parents. Should he try using the Book of Wished Knowledge? Maybe later tonight. He never expected that there were these many otherworldly bloodlines in this world. Is it really just a coincidence? From the memories of the demon he devoured, he only got that this world was really rich in energy, and many otherworldly beings coveted it, but was it really this tempting, or was there something else? Is everything okay? Arya asked nervously, as she and Lily looked at the book not being able to understand even one character. Yes, you are very special, Victor said casually, making her blush a little. That's good. What does it say? She inquired. That you are very special. He repeated. You already told me that, she said with a pout. I know, he said with a wide grin, making her understand that he didn't want to talk about it. Fine then, I will go get some sleep, she said turning around with annoyance and heading to the door. I will tell you when the time is right, he suddenly told her as she was about to close the door. You better do, she said as she shut the door. Victor Chuck then looked at Lily. Go sleep in your room, I have something to do. He said, I will wait for you in your room. She said timidly, Margaret and the girls would be there, and I want to be alone with you tonight, he said with a smile that made Lily blink in surprise and then blush as she jumped from his lap. I might be a little late though, he said. I will be waiting, she said as she left the room while wondering who the new girl was. The smell on Victor's clothes was very distinct. Victor sighed as he relaxed in his chair and closed his eyes. It was time to see what that pervert Tom did in his absence. Chapter 140, Windy. Tom was grinning in satisfaction. He was laying in bed with the two exhausted girls. They were the ones he got from the auction house. And those two were super wild. But they couldn't contend with the stamina of a player. The whimsical system update had finished. A message alerted him. Is the system back? He wondered. This whimsical system is back. This whimsical system has been updated. This whimsical system has new features added. Tom was surprised, so that's why the system was not responding, but what does the update mean? Security patches, and a surprise new feature. Players can now have limited access to the merchant's system store. When the whimsical system feels like IT. Error. Due to the critical system update, the last mission status was interrupted. Fill the system on what happened in detail for your reward of 1,000 coins. Awaiting player report. What happened in the last 2 weeks? The system responded. Tom frowned, then after some thought, he remembered the unfinished mission about the auction raid, so he began to tell the system what happened in detail. How he hid in the vase and then raided the auction house before running away with the girls. There were some irrelevant events too, such as how he met a few new girls and how he went shopping. Is that all? The system asked, making Tom quickly remember and tell the system about Windy too. How the painting burst into flames. And how she fell into a coma. Assessing data. Mission complete. Reward 1,000 coins. The system reported, making Tom smile in satisfaction. This system was really good. Not only did it guide him to gain a lot of treasures, it rewarded him on top of it. It was as if someone was giving you $1 million and then giving you another $1,000 for taking them. I want to access the Play Store, Tom said. He was really looking forward to it. Those merchant players are hogging all the good stuff for themselves. Due to the whimsical nature of the whimsical system, the player would only be able to purchase health and stamina pills. Bottle of minor healing pills 56500. Bottle of major healing pills 521000. Bottle of minor stamina pills 56500. Bottle of major stamina pills 521000. Bottle of weak antidote pills 529500. Bottle of medium antidote pills 560000. Purchase is limited to 1 bottle of each per week. Tom smiled when he saw the list. This is cheaper than what the merchants outside sell them for. Minor healing pills go around 2,000 coins each on the street, and the bottle contains 5, so they are 1,300 each here. Too bad there is a purchase limit, or he could really abuse this system to get rich. Urgent mission. Potential danger spotted. Lock the girl named Windy up and search all of her belongings. Reward: 100 coins. Punishment: will lose your ability as a man for 1 week. Suddenly the system told him, making him frown. Windy, she is already locked up, and I already searched her stuff, Tom said, making the system surprised. Mission accomplished 50%. The system is amazed by your speed. Reward: pending. How did you know that she was possessed by a demon? Now go question her. Be careful. What do you mean, possessed by a demon? She was only trying to steal my things and run away, so I knocked her out and then locked her up, Tom said. Thankfully he hasn't decided what to do with her yet, as he can't just let her go, as she has already seen his face. And those auction guys would surely find her if he let her go. Now it turned out that she was possessed by a demon. No wonder he didn't like that girl at all. She seemed to be always asking unnecessary questions. As if she had never lived in a modern civilization. She didn't even know how to use a phone. Sitting up from his bed, he appeased the 2 girls who protested a little, wanting him to keep them company. He told them that he would return later for another round. After that, he left the room and headed to the makeshift cell he built on the upper floor, where he kept Windy. There, after opening the door, he could swear he heard the system gasp. It must be the air. Victor, who was sitting in the study, stood up in jerk, pushing the chair and tumbling to the floor. Thankfully, no one was in the room to see the astonished look on his face. The girl who was chained to a pole in the middle of the room was Windy. Tom already told him her name, but he could have never imagined that it was this slut Windy. Windy Larsdottir. Level: 0. Class: Ice Witch S. Authority: 5. Health: 260. Stamina: 260. Mana: 350. Strength: 26. Intelligence: 35. Agility: 24. Luck: 11. Charm: 26. Order: 10. Recognized skills: Herbal Medicine C. Cooking D. Swimming D. Spotless Cleaning F. Staff Arts F. Bow Arts F. System Skills: Flying A. Charm D. Flexible Joints E. Class Skills: Ice Ball A. Ice Wall A. Cold Resistant S. Magic Attribute: Ice, Water. Bloodline: Fate Status: Fate's Power Ah. Fate's Direction: Rising. Fate's Design: Lover of Arthur Wolf. Total: A+. Windy Larsdottir, also known as Windy the Ice Queen, Windy the Men Killer, and Windy the Heartless Matriarch of the Ice Soul Sect, one of the huge powers both now and in the future. That place was a sect only for women. Any man who approaches them would be killed on sight. It was located in the far north of the continent, in an inhabited tundra. So it was able to keep its distance from all of the chaos that the world faced after the reckoning. Windy was heartless from all the previous matriarchs, as she forbade all of her disciples from approaching men or even talking to them, declaring to the world that men were insects that should be crushed. Victor had no idea that she was also Arthur Wolf's lover, but destiny never lies. Arthur Wolf was the enemy of the world. A man who was so strong and arrogant that despite being a scion, everyone tried to kill him and everyone failed repeatedly. That man showed up whenever a treasure or an SSS dungeon appeared. And he always left with his hands full, either from the treasures or from the artifacts he collected from his enemies' corpses. So naturally, no one liked him. Except it's Windy, it seems. This B*TCH was a big hypocrite. She hid it well enough, Victor cursed, remembering many events in the past that made sense now. as she was always the first one to pursue after Arthur as if to kill him. But she must be the one hiding him. No wonder Tom hated Wendy. The obscure feeling of repulsion toward her that Tom is showing was a result of her, is destined to be eaten by someone higher on the food chain. A scion with a stronger fate. What should he do now? Victor had no grudge against Arthur. On the contrary, he wants to use him as the guy who murdered his family was one of Arthur's enemies. Maybe he should just make Tom let her go. Wait, what if she was the demon? Suddenly Victor noticed something wrong. Wendy seemed to have broken free of her binding. Tom felt strange because of the system's long silence. Is everything okay? He asked as he looked at Wendy. She had many hit marks and scratches. This was not his work, but his wife's, who got very angry when she called Tom a pervert. Caution, this girl is a player. Caution, this girl is already out of Unbound and would attack you with an ice ball at any moment. Defend against the attack, then subdue her. The series of system messages surprised Tom, who quickly looked at the girl, but it was too late. She was already in front of him using an ice ball aimed directly at his face. He quickly dodged, then used his leg to kick her, but she dodged and slipped by him heading to the door. She was too flexible. Tom quickly ran after her but slipped and fell on his ass. The floor was all frozen. What the hell? He jumped quickly to go after her, but slipped again, damn it. He roared as he crawled on the icy floor. By the time he reached the door, she was nowhere to be seen. Tom stood up and looked left and right to the corridor's ends but saw no shadow. He listened carefully for footsteps, but none could be heard. The window. The system reminded him, so he quickly ran to an open window where he spotted Wendy, who was floating in midair with difficulty. This should be her first time flying. After a while, she landed behind an adjacent building. Seemingly her energy was drained. Although he knew that by the time he reached there she would be long gone, Tom still wanted to follow her. But at the next moment, he suddenly felt his eyes bleed and was struck by exhaustion that made him collapse to the ground. Mission failed. Your energy would be drained. You will lose your ability as a man for 1 week. No. A scream rocked the building. Victor frowned as he stood up. He never expected Tom to collapse after using the destiny tracking through him. It seemed the effect of the X-ranked class skills can't be withstood easily by others. Luckily, the skill activation was a success, and Wendy was marked. From her status, Victor could see that she had an enhanced system, so she must awaken using a painting as Tom described. But was she possessed? She seems not, as her name was not changed. A demon would have a couple of question marks at the very least. So now, he needed to go after her to investigate her situation. If she was a demon, he would kill her. If not, he must make her serve him. Or at least do his bidding. Leaving the room, he bumped into Hilda, who was getting ready to go to bed. Do you need anything, young master? She asked. Inform Lily and the girls that I have to go on a mission. I might return late, he said as he headed to the door, then stopped and turned to face Hilda. Do you have a whistle? He asked. I have a few, I use them when I train the girls. She said as she reached into a drawer and took out a metallic sports whistle and handed it to Victor, who put it in his pocket and then left the mansion in a hurry. I bet you a $100 it is another girl, Margaret, who was watching him leave from Lily's room window, said. You don't need to bet, I already know, Lily said with some annoyance. This was supposed to be her night alone with her young master, but this slut Margaret, who felt something was wrong, discovered the young master's plot and came to sleep in her room. Let's go after him, we would stay far enough away. Margaret proposed, making Lily look at her with surprise. She wanted to say no, but after some thinking, she opened the window and jumped. Margaret chuckled and after some hesitation jumped after her. They would surely be punished after this. But she wouldn't mind.